Canadian agriculture had a very busy week, so I'm going to have to cover a lot of ground very quickly. See what I did there? Cover a lot of ground. So last Thursday, the Canadian Agriculture and Agri-Food Department issued a news release discussing efforts to boost the flower industry. Flowers Canada Growers Inc., the nation's Floral Trade Association, will be given about $500,000 for their work to support the nation's floriculture industry. Most of it will be applied to North American marketing and supporting farmers with industry data, training, and certification, while $75,000 of agri-risk initiatives will study greenhouse insurance. Now, this funding brings the total Canadian federal support for the ornamental horticulture industry to $660,000 in the past 3 years. The press release emphasized this industry includes 2,400 farms and generates sales of $2.5 billion annually. The previous day, the agency had issued a news release emphasizing the effects of climate change on Canadian farmers and discussing $7.5 million going to different projects. The Agricultural Clean Technology Program both helps farmers adapt to projected impacts of climate change and increases energy efficiency and the use of green energy, along with the use of precision agriculture and the bioeconomy, large-scale use of biotechnology. This press event showcased 3 farms. A small farm that replaced a propane grain dryer with a $127,000 biomass-powered unit, a nursery using $183,000 of GPS and sensors to reduce their diesel and chemicals, and a Toronto nonprofit genetics research firm using $1.26 million to study bioplastics. Now, the previous Thursday, the government updated a database of about 60 projects funded in the Agricultural Clean Technology Initiative. It's a remarkable database, and it's well worth looking at. So I can't go into all 60, so I'm going to hit 3 of them. The first 2, there are 2 projects at $2 million. First are 3 biomass burners at Ontario's Rosa Flora greenhouse, where they'll be burning waste wood. The firm installed a 615 kilowatt wind turbine 12 years ago, and it's a very interesting firm. They were founded 40 years ago to produce hybrid tea roses, but expanded. Their website defines their mission as, "We are devoted to the glory of God in growing the highest quality, fresh cut flowers and ensuring the utmost level of satisfaction for our customers, attainable with the teamwork of our dedicated staff." The other $2 million project is for a biofuel switching system at a new $100 million Winnipeg oat mill that local media describes as an investment in the province's future. The O Foods oatmeal is owned oat mill, where I guess they do produce oatmeal. See what I did there? Kermit, be quiet. It's owned by PGF, which is a multinational conglomerate, which is amazing. I mean, they are so spread out. They've got trucking, they've got construction, and they've got PGF Biofuels, which produces biodiesel and biojet fuel. Now, they're a very interesting company. They produce it from Ethiopian mustard oil seed, which contains a lot of erucic acid. In fact, the plant is nearly 42% erucic acid, and this is an ideal source for biofuels. The next grant, and the most interesting, is $1.25 million for research into bioplastics to Ontario Genomics, a government institute that works to breed new crops that will be productive and sustainable. In a 62-page 2018 report, the institute said they sought to improve production of food along with agricultural products for fuels, biomaterials, fine chemicals, and pharmaceuticals. End quote. The report stated their work in agriculture and agri-food sectors would be, quote, inextricably linked with such advances as next-generation sequencing, gene editing, synthetic biology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and precision agriculture, end quote. The report also emphasized that, quote, communications to educate and engage the public about beneficial new technologies is essential to ensure both social acceptance and sector growth. They have a lot going on. This report discussed the editing, the 2018 report from the company, discussed the editing of the genetic structure of pigs to protect from porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome, along with to protect them from African swine fever. They want to edit the genes of Holstein cows to produce cows that don't have horns, so farmers don't have to dehorn the cows. The report touted the use of Enviro pigs, which is their trademark, and a future Marvel superhero. Be quiet, Kermit. I miss Merle. These Enviro pigs have been rewired to digest phosphorus better. And that, I think that helps. That means farmers use less phosphorus. And they also have genetically manipulated the pig's microbiome to avoid antimicrobial resistance. Ontario Genetics wants to edit chicken genetics to avoid necrotic enterus and avian influenza infection. The report's amazing. It's a fascinating look at the potential of the genetics research and development across the entire agricultural industry. A lot of the stuff they're talking about is, in a way, makes a lot of sense. For example, they're looking at the genetics of microbes that make cheese, and a new variety of corn called bioamber that produces more succinic acid to provide alternatives to fossil fuel-based chemicals to reduce the carbon footprint. What these people are doing, for example, rewiring another breed of corn to generate adipic acid to produce nylon. Whatever stage these projects are at, they're basically just speeding up what humans have done for thousands of years. We find a kind of corn, we're like, oh, that's a good kind of corn, so we crossbreed it. And that was done naturally by farmers. These people are doing it in laboratories. It's an amazing process. I will post the link to the report in the notes below the video. Table 1 of the report on page 21 lists over 30 projects to do everything from maximizing genetic improvement of Atlantic salmon to creating a, quote, genetic toolbox for tomato flavor differentiation, developing allele specific markers in hazelnuts, and genetically assisting the breeding of honeybees. The rest of those grants that the Canadians gave out are for smaller stuff, include things like solar panels, grain dryers, and precision agriculture.